The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal, but the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very first live episode of Seeking the Paranormal. I'm going to let you know that when we start this, or start the live episodes, we have to, Shay tells us, okay, we're starting the intro, and then you have to be really quiet. And I'm sitting in a room with these two, and one of them, I won't say which one, one of them is messing around with a huge horn.
John was playing with his horn.
Playing with my own horn, not someone else's horn. Alright?
Honest to God. And you're supposed to be quiet. And it's near impossible to be quiet when you are doing things like that. Good Lord.
There's nothing wrong with it.
And as usual, the comedy has started well before the show did. So these two are all warmed up. I see Nico has joined us already.
What's up, Nico?
Nico, get alive.
I mean,
that's not very nice.
I need a life. Yeah, he did say that, didn't he?
Oh, is that what he said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we'll have a few more people in here besides Nico. Otherwise, let's hope Nico brought some questions.
Right.
Oh, God. Can I go now?
Nico!
Have fun.
Phantom Science is a good podcast, but it's not quite as good as Seeking the Paranormal. Just going to put that out there.
That's right. Seeking the Paranormal is the original.
That's right.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So.
But if you haven't listened to Phantom Science, definitely do. You guys are weekly, right? Weekly on Sundays.
Weekly gaining followers.
That.
On Sundays at what time?
7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern.
All right. And hello, Shay. And 2 weeks ago, you had your first live show, and you're doing what? Every third episode is live? Every fourth episode is live.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Matt. So a couple more weeks, and then you'll get another opportunity to shoot Nico and John some questions. Like I said, if you haven't listened to it, definitely do. John puts episodes up on YouTube as well, so check those out while you're at it. So, since we did our last episode, which was the Lost episode, which the story behind that was I had a desktop computer that was averaging slower than dial-up speeds. And so John and Adam were going to fix it, and I hadn't saved.
John was going to fix it.
Right,
Yeah.
but I hadn't saved the episode yet, and there was a whole fiasco with Adam unplugging the computer before I thought it was done. We had to look for the episode, but hopefully you listened to episode 20 about synchronicities. We were actually just talking about how we could do about 4 more episodes just on that topic. I hope if you haven't listened to it yet, you will, and kind of look into it yourself, because it, like I had said, I thought it was going to be such a simplistic topic, and then I really started looking into it, and it'll blow your mind. It just will. Anyway, and we recorded that episode, my God, in like December, and we're almost in March now, so it's been that long.
Like December? Like you with the spoon?
Oh my gosh. There's something wrong with Valley Talk with a British accent. Just doesn't work.
It doesn't really work real well.
Like talk to the hand. Oh.
No, you know what you sound like? You sound like Stewie.
Ooh.
From from the Family Guy.
Ew.
That was
Nico
funny.
says he wants to hear more about that topic. What, synchronicity?
Synchronicities, yeah. I maybe we can touch on it a little bit. But what I was getting at was that you have tried out the two of you, maybe, or just John, I don't know, have tried out the two different versions of the Ghost Box that you've been working on. The one that's just skipping straight to radio stations,
Yes.
and then the white noise strictly.
Yes.
Okay, so let's hear a little bit about those.
Well, we did a test run, so excuse me. Basically, the one a normal Ghost Box highlights radio stations because one theory is they take pieces of the radio, put them together, and you get something meaningful, which does happen.
Which I want to ask real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt, but which theory did the two of you lean towards?
Go ahead, Adam.
Because I personally lean more towards the white noise.
I would tend to. I'm split on that at the moment
Okay.
because now with John having the new.
Listen to us constantly clearing our throat. I am so sorry for people who have to listen to this.
It's fine. Because after listening to John's new little radio that just skips radio stations, I can see where you could pick up on some stuff. But then again, when I've been listening to our Ghost Boxes in the past, it does seem like a lot of it comes through the white noise. So I'm kind of split on it right at the moment until something, boom, comes out.
And I have not made a judgment just because I haven't done enough of the Batchy experiment.
Because my name is John, and that's what I do.
That's
right.
Hi, Christopher.
So, I mean, I can see, as Spirit Box, we've had a lot of success with the one with just radio, if that's what it is. Now I want to go and use the Batchy one at least as much, so I'm comparing apples to apples and not one incident to 100 incidents.
Right.
Because that one incident isn't as good as the 100 incidents when it hasn't had a chance to be. So, but I bought so the first test run we did, I was using software-defined radio on a laptop, and the laptop's kind of old and getting crappy, so we didn't get that much of it. So I bought a shortwave radio, which are hard to find anymore. Remember the old shortwave radio?
Yeah.
So I bought a shortwave radio where we can tune in between 6 and 7 megahertz on the shortwave and just let it run with a recorder next to it. So I'm hoping with some longer runs doing that, we'll get some data, and then I will make a decision, I guess. Because here's the one thing. It's more compelling.
That was almost a here's the thing.
Almost.
I'm saving them. You can't just use them all at once and run out. This is true.
You have a quota now?
No, this is true of all things. When you die, you die,
here's our synchronicity.
you will have blinked X amount of times. You will have breathed so many times. You will have gone to the toilet. Breathed. Do you want me to go get my teeth? But I would have said, here's the thing so many times, and I just use one up.
That's true.
Example.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you with here's the thing. No. Christopher says he likes the SB7. Would you like to relay to him what your issue is with that?
I like the SB7. To me, the thing I don't like about it is because we have so much of it, and I'm the one that does the bloody data analysis, after a while, my eardrums, that steady pounding, because it cuts from one to the next. And when I thought about it, those cuts where it goes bang, 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 bang on your ears the whole time, those cuts are so small. I don't know why they designed it that way. It shouldn't cut. I prefer if it just went, just eased from one to the next, like turning a knob.
So, and the reason that people don't like the shack hacks anymore is because y'all think they go too slow, right?
I don't know. I've used one and I didn't mind it too bad.
I don't mind. I mean, and there's different ones. Like,
you've made an SB7 go just as slow.
You can, but I mean, there's different models of the shack hacks, and they all seem to sound different. Some of them are more that you hear, and some there it is.
I know we are no longer brought to you by Captain Morgan. Tonight we are brought to you by Bush Lights.
Bush Light.
We be at the bar. Bar. And a secret lab / bar.
You sounded like a pirate there.
Bar.
That was the point.
I know, but
Oh my
I
god.
sound like a pirate now.
Right over Adam's head.
No.
Okay, anyway, well, back in one of our older episodes, I was talking about the amazing stuff we got at the Wheating Theater in Toledo off of the Shack Hack, and John had asked me why I wasn't using that any longer if we had had such luck with it. And to be honest, I've started using it again. I'm not the one running the ghost boxes in our investigation, so we end up using an SB7, SB11. I don't know how to run either one, quite frankly, but I always have a Shack Hack with me now.
Yeah, and I had one. I donated it, but I used it long enough to get my bearings with it, get an opinion of it, and get my data from it. And the SB7 I liked because I could change the speed, so I could kind of dink with it more than I could the Shack Hack. As far as you got to remember, I just research only. So, but the thing with the SB7, I don't mind it, but when you're listening to that much stuff, when you do a lot of it in a session and you have to come back and have hours of it going on your ears, I'm like,
does it hit the table when you do it too?
I'm not listening than I am on listening.
So, but let me just back up a little bit. You have a video up right now of the one that goes straight to stations, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a few of those.
And you used it at the Granger House, right? Okay. And it was successful.
Yeah, which the Granger House, though, is an exception. Because
yes, I would agree.
We do get a lot more from the Spirit Box at the Granger House than we do anywhere else, which is why I like going and doing those things at the Granger House. Not that I don't like doing them elsewhere, it's just, I for whatever reason, we get more. So,
and if you would like to set up your own investigation of the Granger House, you can email me. Anyway, I didn't mean to do that, but
really, I endorse it.
Yes, please do. We're relatively cheap, and all of the money goes straight back into the house. So $150 for up to 5 people to investigate, as long as you want.
The reason I endorse it is because it's a different type of investigation that I think more people need to go and do. There's no axe murderer. There's no whatever. I mean, it's a house where stuff happens, and it's subtle, so it might train some investigators to actually sit still for more than 10 minutes and take notice of their surroundings instead of each other.
Yeah. Well, and it was a house full of living. But, which, there again, we've talked about in the past as well that, thank you, Steve. I hope you like that. I tend to agree. We've discussed how places that had more living than death occur tend to be more haunted. So just because something traumatic death-wise happened, i.e. Villisca, does not mean it's going to be the most haunted location you've ever been to. But you used the other one that is white noise at the Granger House as well, right? Are we allowed to talk about this?
I haven't really
without giving too much away.
And I only had about 15 minutes worth of...
But you did notice a difference, potentially?
Yeah.
In my
something
opinion,
came in.
something happened.
And I haven't, I'll be honest with you, I've been redecorating and redoing and building a war game table. And
yes, Kim Purvis has got her, sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Kim has got, REP is going to be visiting us at the Granger House twice this year. In fact, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the next month or two, you guys will be there your first time, I believe.
I think that's correct. I think it's in March sometime.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Because I double booked her first date. My bad.
Thanks for being nice.
I made it right by her, though.
I mean, I just remember listening to it. I haven't gone through the data.
Well, you were really hungover, too.
I was.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Came to the secret lab / bar. But I mean, you were there, Adam. There was something there, and the reason I'm
That
excited...
was my foot on the stool. Good God, you two.
No, this is the most not haunted place.
Well, I know that, but I was like, what is that? What was that?
No. This is ground zero for testing equipment at a 0 level. So, but the batch experiment I'm excited for, because if you do pick stuff up, you know it's not a radio station.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, then comes the question of, is it another radio that's kind of slipping into the frequency you're listening to, which is a lot less likely than it being a snippet of radio. And then if you do get something, then you say, is it meaningful to where we are and what we were talking about? Well, and if it is on that little tiny bandwave,
yeah.
I heard somebody did that experiment, and a voice said pretty clearly through the crackle, "Are you enjoying playing with the ITC?"
I love that.
Freaked the crap out. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah.
another thing where I was like, I gotta try this.
Well, and going back to when we did my parents' house in Tama, when we were using the ghost box, at one point we didn't have any radio stations coming in, and there was a radio station at downtown Tama, which was, half a mile from us, maybe a mile. And then all of a sudden we were getting stations on the ghost box, which made me think that the white noise would work better, although we didn't get a ton of communication that way. But I guess that's just my thought.
So here's a question. Could we build a radio that would do the opposite of your one and skip all the stations and just play the white noise?
You'd have to write a program for the software-defined radio. But yeah, it's possible.
I don't know why I said we.
That's
you.
Beyond. Well, not even me. That's beyond my programming skills. But I could find.
Why do you need something to scan white noise? Why can't you just hold?
See, that's my question. So with the SB7 and ours and everything like that, the reason that I decided to do the Matchy was when we were at the Granger, we were getting something, and it was like they were trying to say stuff but kept getting cut off because the frequency was changing. And to me, it's always blown my mind with spirit boxes is, why do we keep changing the frequency? Doesn't that make it harder? It's got to make it harder for a ghost, unless they're using pieces of radio. That's the only thing that made sense to me, is why we built that one.
Yeah. But
if they're really talking through the right white noise, changing frequencies just does not make sense in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
So Shay asked if we think investigating a place can create or increase activity. Now, I will tell you that very infrequently when people ask me to investigate their house, because it's not something I prefer to do if they're scared about it. But, if somebody calls Adam in the middle of the night, because it happens all the time, we're not going to say no. But I usually tell people that there's always the possibility that by a group coming in, including ourselves, and starting to pay attention and ask questions, it could increase the activity, because theoretically somebody's getting attention now, and that may have been what they were after to begin with. And if it is what they were after, why wouldn't they continue? So in my opinion, yes, I think that investigating can. I don't think it always does, because I don't think the Granger house has gotten any more haunted than it was, or any more active than it was. So I think that is definitely one exception, but I think that it can.
I would agree with that. It makes sense.
I did an experiment at the Squirrel Cage jail. The ghost feeder was going off.
Oh, yeah, good.
And it was going off quite frequently. And we were talking the whole time, asking questions, and then I left the camera on it, and I thought, right, we're going to go away and see if it goes off the same amount of times when we're not there. And it didn't. It was going off on average, I can't remember now. So when we were talking, it was going off on average about every 49 seconds. When we were not there, it was going off about once every 4 to 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference between us being there or not?
Steve, that's not funny.
Oh my goodness, Steve.
Steve said that Granger house gets more haunted when the toilet is frozen.
You think that's bad? You guys should hold a curry night.
Yes, that was another conversation we had before we started.
but Steve brings up another interesting point, because I had always heard this too. So if you have like an old transistor TV and put a camcorder facing it with the white static, and then hook the camera up to another screen, it takes you that infinity look.
Mm-hmm.
And that is supposed to work kind of like how I think Mr. Moon uses his little box with the picture on it. But you're supposed to, I had always heard that you just, it's like scrying.
You said Mr. Moon. No matter what you say around that sentence, it's crap. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. It's an illusion.
I just threw that in to get you going. But I would say that the TV thing, it had always been something I wanted to try. But, I don't, first of all, TVs don't do white static anymore. I mean, I'm sure you can.
I got an old one.
Well, yeah, you'd have to have an old one, and then a camcorder, and then a way to hook it up to another TV. Nice.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to try it sometime.
I mean, what the heck? We could try it.
But I feel like pareidolia starts to kick in after a while.
Oh, definitely.
Well, yeah, because I think we saw a video or something of that, and it kind of moves.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And people were saying they were seeing like faces and people, and I've not ever seen the movie White Noise, but I feel like they maybe do that in that movie.
But it's a movie.
Why no?
So that's, sorry, I'm not going to base my any opinion.
Listen, people get sucked into TVs and whatnot. Have you seen Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
It happens.
See, Bob, here's something about
Here's the thing.
Even though it was fiction, it was more real than real, because in Poltergeist at the end, when they went to that motel and he just kicked the TV out onto the porch, so that's fiction. The Amityville horror, that's supposed to be real,
yes,
they went screaming out, but they came back that weekend and did a garage sale. Did you know that?
They did not.
Yes, they did. They ran a garage sale at the Amityville house selling their crap. So
at 112 Ocean Avenue?
Well, whatever address it is now.
It either is 112 or it was 110. Those are been the numbers.
No, it is 110 now.
Anyway,
Shay says, hashtag, here's the thing.
I've only got so many in this life. I'm not just going to waste them willy-nilly for people that want them.
And Steve says he bought, I assume one means a TV. So
yes,
we will have to work on that experiment.
I'll have to dig it out and find it.
So that'll be cool. All right, so
somewhere in the deepest dungeons of the secret lab behind the bookcase.
There may be a TV, an old-ass TV.
No questions. Come on, people. You all asleep.
I know.
Yeah.
You go somewhere else. You're all watching like Law and Order or something.
Well, tonight is the first thing of
Love Island.
No, what's that?
Did you just make that up?
It could be
one of those music shows.
The Voice is on
Voice,
tonight.
the
That's what our mothers are doing
That's
right
exactly
now.
what our mothers are doing right now. They're watching the first episode of The Voice.
Although last night was the first episode of Before the 90 Days.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Found early episode up against the Super Bowl. Boo-hoo.
Good job with that one.
Not that pan out.
Well, it wouldn't have happened if the Ravens were in it, so I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I want you all to know that as a Steelers fan, it is paining me to sit in this bar right now because I'm surrounded by Raven shit everywhere.
Hey, this is quality fucking gear, all right?
I realized that my soda was sitting on a Ravens coaster earlier. We had to put a kibosh to that. So,
Yeah.
well, Adam and I.
I'm the only objective one here.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
My goodness.
Anywho,
And good thing I wore my boots.
right. So, was it? God, my weeks run together. No, this past weekend I worked. So the weekend prior to that, we went to Alton, Illinois, for the Dead of Winter Festival. I can never talk John into going to things because he's scared that the people there are going to ruin everything paranormal for him. He is coming to Omaha with us, though.
Yeah. And it's not scared. It's just I've
Worried.
had these experiences. Well, I just... I've
You
had
used the word scared. You did.
Did I?
Yes.
Was I drinking?
No.
That's probably why.
Were you with us? You probably were then.
Go there, Chuck. Let's see how it works.
Let's be real, though. Some people in the paranormal community can be a bit scary. There is no doubt about that.
I think disappointing is the word for me. But.
Because there was somebody who shall remain nameless that we were talking about the paranormal community and pointed out that many of us are also rather curvy. So we're all a little deranged, and a lot of us are a little curvy, myself included. So,
but you know what? I don't mind any of that. But what I do mind is when you say, people come out with all these details, and I can't just let it go. I say, well, how do you know that? Where's that from? And then it just is. You know, and then that's when I start shutting down, and my IQ starts going down, and then I'm looking for the nearest bar.
Anyway, Adam and I went to the Dead of Winter Festival, and if you haven't been before, go sometime. It's a free event. Obviously, now you have to wait until next February. I believe it's usually the first weekend in February. Like I said, a free event. All you have to do is bring some non-perishable food, and I can tell you that a lot of people showed up without food, and they still got in free. So
you can get it for free.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm.
You just told people not to bring food.
I know, but if you don't bring food for the food shelter, you're basically a horrible person.
Right.
Well, no, I want to see who's going to the food shelter. We got one across the road, and there's a bunch of people go there that shouldn't be going there.
Well, I can't control that part.
I know. Oh, I'll get political.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Yep.
Reel it in.
Reel it in.
This year, though,
I own an SUV. I'm out of food.
Sorry, why are out of food?
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Get a bicycle. You can eat by McDonald's.
God, who was it? Some isn't there a rapper D.O.B.? I'm pretty sure. And he, dirty old bastard. He went and cashed a welfare check, I think, in his chauffeured vehicle one time. He got in big trouble for it, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
Shay says, bring extra for the ones who don't give.
Yes.
Good idea.
Absolutely.
Yep.
People like John.
What? I bring food.
Okay.
Why would I not bring food?
They said they got over 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. And like I said, there were a few that turned up without any, but the most of the people there brought more than one item, and it was really good to see.
2 pack of Twinkies.
No.
Like
almost everybody brought a bag full of stuff, and there were people who did socks and all kinds of stuff. So it was really good to see. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to is that...
Oh, it's a good question.
Okay, can I finish talking first?
Sorry, I was thinking go ahead.
No. I'm trying to promote Dead of Winter because it's a neat thing to go to. It's in the middle of winter when we haven't had anything going on since October, and there's always some really good speakers. If you're not familiar with Troy Taylor, I heard him tell somebody 2 weeks ago that he has written 130 books now. Blows my mind. Mm-hmm. How this man who watches movies constantly has any time to do anything besides write, I don't understand. But we
had an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, and Cody told him he should write a book.
So, we got a really good question from Kelly. How long do you think the cool equipment phase will last? Will investigators return to basics?
No, the cool equipment will just change.
My God, that's hopeless now.
I mean, we've kind of talked about doing more basic stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so...
That's why I use a digital voice recorder, and that's about it.
Great. I know you do.
I'm back to basics.
Basics is we got a magnetic tape player back there that we use because it's magnetic.
My dad gave me a little one.
Yep.
It's just finding the tapes for him anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Because technically you should use a brand new clean tape every time you do a recording.
Yeah. And,
that's where the issues start to arise.
They're expensive. Mm-hmm. On Amazon still, brand new, wrapped.
Because when we first started, we had camcorders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and finding tapes for those.
Yeah, that was...
difficult and expensive.
Yeah.
I think that there will always be, and these are the people I prefer to watch, a subsegment. Well, they're not really a subsegment. They are the originals and the, as far as I'm concerned, the mainstream investigators. The people, a lot of the groups, how do I put this without pissing everybody in the world off? A lot of people that use the cool equipment with no theory behind it, not really understanding why they're using it. They're just looking for a blinky light to go off.
But don't we all start that way?
Yeah, we do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then,
because we see it on TV, oh my god!
No, I mean it's true though.
Oh my god! You just said that.
We all started that way.
I came out potty trained.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Do you have a special operation?
Girls also don't poop, so.
Okay. I'm not my third wife. I can. On the average, I'd say.
Stop! Poor Jeannie. No.
No, she's the only one that doesn't.
Okay.
That's my brownie points.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
Except she's inside watching The Voice.
That might be why she's putting on weight. There you go. Brownie points.
Oh.
Dude.
Jeannie, I still like you.
It's a joke.
I got your back, girl.
No, but the equipment one is a good one because here's the thing with the cool equipment is it brings people into it. People sitting at home that, and they go, oh, that's cool, we should do that. And you're right, that's how a lot of people start. Personally, it's not kind of how I started, but...
You have one of those ghost detectors.
What? What ghost detector?
The orange one.
What?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
Because it was a cheap... I didn't know how long I was going to do this. So I'm like, I'm not throwing lots of money at it. I was just buying the cheapest EMF I could get to see if it actually goes off.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to test the theory. So, but that is how a lot of people get into it. What I would like to see is when they go there and they get exactly the same results that everybody else is getting.
Yeah, Shay, the ghost meter. This man has one.
Years. I mean, nobody progresses, I guess, is my beef. And I
would agree with you.
And then actually go back to the basics. That's why that is such a good question.
I agree.
The problem is that a lot of them, and we talked about this again a little bit before we started, my biggest beef is that people in this field tend to look at those who are on TV and on these shows as either an expert or somebody that they should be watching because they seem to know something more than the rest of us. That's not where you should be getting your information from. Your information should be from books and the history of this field. I mean, how many people in this field don't know who Harry Price is?
I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also others out there. I mean, here's a good thing for anybody. Go to the SPR.co.uk, which is the Society for Psychical Research. It's like, I don't know, $12 a year, something stupid small, to join and be a member. What that gives you is access to their whole library, their periodical, everything. So what you can do is you can go back and you can do, and these guys, the only people who are allowed to actually do a field experiment are actual scientists. They've got to have a doctor or a PhD or some kind of, and you can go and try where they've had successes and get a foundation underneath, if you see what I mean.
On the other hand, oh my God, Nico.
You are going to lose your keyboard privileges.
I'm with Steve. I don't remember the last paranormal show I watched. Now, I will say I like to watch Dead Files every once in a while just because it's entertaining. But I can't watch the shows. They drive me insane. And I used to like, what's the boys from the South? I used to like them. I can't even watch them anymore. Yeah. I can't even watch, any of them. And as much as I think
Adam Berry and Amy Bruni are really good people. But, you know, we've had the opportunity to investigate with them before, and I think Adam enjoyed it as much as I did. They were really nice. Mm-hmm. But, you know, even their show, Kindred Spirits. Now, I haven't watched the episode where they went to Farrar, but, you know, they're pulling out all kinds of information that people have been investigating there. How many times have you guys been there? Like a handful.
4 times.
And, you know, and they're pulling out information that nobody's ever gotten before. And they're not doing anything special. So I don't mean, and it's probably not fair of me to judge the show without watching it, but I question where that information comes from.
There's 2 things. And here's the thing. If you've got a TV show, you have staff. You have staff, but that
You're
staff
right.
is research. Mm-hmm. And not only just, you know, Mavis that works in the canteen and this is a part-time thing. And it's, no, these are proper researchers. That's how they got the job at the show. You know, whoever's producing the show, you know, they are researchers and they're damn good at it. You know, so, yeah, it's... all of a sudden you think, oh, these guys are great. Look, all this stuff they found out. Well, they didn't.
Well, and you know what would be fun is these shows with all these researchers, if they would start with accurate. Now, our next recorded episode, we recorded actually a couple weeks ago, and it's just kind of a catch-up episode. The one after that is going to be on the real history of Edinburgh Manor, and then we'll talk about some of our experiences there as well. But, you know, and back to Ghost Adventures, but... we have already talked about this like 5 times. Yes.
I remember.
I'll send you a memo. That Ghost Adventures is an easy, right? Ghost Adventures is an easy fallback, but you know, their intro with history on Edinburgh Manor was so full of shit. That place has never once been a mental asylum, and now everybody on Earth thinks it has been. And that's not the case.
You know the Joker lives here now.
I have heard that.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that.
So next time you go there, don't be looking for him.
Right, because he has been
I
taken.
thought this was the least haunted place ever.
Well, the Joker don't count.
No, he don't count.
I know who he is, where he is, and some of the shit he says.
All
so
right.
I can filter that out.
Well, that's good.
Now, having railed about, Squirrel Cage Jail as well, I didn't watch that episode either. And you know,
Someday we should, though.
well, we tried to watch the one at Mineral Springs, and we watched about 5 minutes of it and couldn't do it anymore. And then they went to McPike Mansion, which is a beautiful house, but the couple that owns it have been like restoring it for 90 years now. Mm-hmm. It'll be beautiful when it's done. But if you go there to investigate, they only let you in the basement now.
The couple that owned it have been restoring it for 90 years.
Oh,
that's an exexaggeration.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like ghost restorers.
No.
Like they're dead and they kept restoring
No.
it. Wake up and
They've owned it. I bet they've owned it for over 10 years, though. And now, what they're doing, though, is they are doing period appropriate. You know, like they found somebody to custom make windows the way they would have been when the McPikes lived in that house.
Do you know what I don't like?
Tell me.
Like in the 20s, when they do, like the 1920s, and they do period appropriate restorations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
Okay.
Because there's no alcohol.
That's true. Damn it.
There's no bar.
Well, you know what I don't like? Is when you're in charge of a historical museum and you can't get people to donate to help you get your period appropriate roofing, but Chris Moon has people donating to him because he got punched in the eye.
you know what's what I was doing because I got to bring this up. So Bilbo Zach Baggins.
Is that a word?
What?
Bilbo.
Bilbo. You don't know who Bilbo Baggins is? It's the Hobbit from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Baggins is, we hate some of their thieves. So people out, what has he got in his pockets?
Oh dear, here we go.
He brought out the Dummy's Guide to Ghost Hunting or Paranormal Investigation or whatever it was. And I looked at that, so I went looking for reviews, thinking, okay, how good is this going to be? So, going down that rabbit hole, apparently it's like all plagiarized.
Yeah.
Troy Taylor.
Yep.
They picked him out as someone that got plagiarized like a lot. Like,
Well, when you've written 130 books, it's bound to happen.
well, yeah. I mean, you could just make up a sentence and probably plagiarize.
Oh, Matt posted a beaver eating a nut. That sounds inappropriate. Anyway, keep going.
I thought it was a squirrel, but it looks like a beaver eating a nut.
I got real distracted for a second.
Happens all the time in Amsterdam. Anyway,
Oh, dear God.
as long as you got the euros. Anyway. So anyway,
Christ.
but getting back to Mr. Dan
Yes, please.
and all the money that they're giving him, I ended up on Zach's face. No, it was a fan Facebook page for Zach Baggins.
Of course.
Let me tell you, there is not enough vomit in the world to justify that page.
It blows my mind that people think he is the end-all be-all.
They're discussing his glasses.
Oh,
They're
for
exactly his
fuck's
glasses.
sakes. And they are probably...
Oh,
Where they
thank
can get
goodness.
Well, they are probably fake as shit, but he will tell you because of Demon House, his eye is now fucked, and he
that's
could
right.
lose his sight forever
If
if
he
he
has
does
the
this surgery.
yes.
So he has to wear these glasses for the rest
No,
of his
doctors
beloved
don't tell
life.
him. Doctors
That's
don't know,
right.
they're baffled.
That's right, they're baffled
Jesus.
because it was the Demon House,
Yeah.
which
I
is
think
now
it's porn.
the Demon
He's
Lodge.
not saying due to porn.
That's probably right. He does date strippers and whatnot, does he?
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not
Single
saying
moms
there
got
is.
everything.
I'm not saying there is.
Yep, maybe that's what's wrong with his eye.
Adam used
Too
to
close.
bounce for strippers.
I did.
You
I
did?
never dated one, but I
Usually it's the other way around. They bounce for you.
Well, I happened to.
Were they
Only they were paying me.
I was going to say, were they making it rain for you?
Sometimes.
Bounce for me, Adam. Come on.
Dang right.
Come on, big boy.
Oh, we could go way off topic with that one.
Oh,
That's a little known fact
Well,
about
we're not
Adam
getting any-
Hyatt.
We're not getting any questions.
No,
it's
we're not.
dangerous if we don't, because we'll just start going.
Where's
on.
Darren?
Oh, he's going to be.
Who's
late.
supposed to be
Well,
part of our
well,
show, and he has stood us up tonight. That's right, Darren Buss. I just called you out.
Yes.
I'll be the Darren stand-in.
Okay.
What piece of equipment do you like?
The digital voice recorder.
What piece?
Are you going to ask Adam or are you just asking
No,
me? Is this
no,
an
we're just
interview,
asking-
Sarah?
I'm just watching.
Hey, this is text. You're reading my words. So
Okay.
don't look at my face. You can't see me face.
God.
Oh.
What would you not like to be haunted?
Oh, that's a long list.
This question always confuses me.
What?
I don't think I don't know how to answer it properly, I don't think.
Well, English words is usually the way.
Oh my
most people
fucking
handle
God.
it.
You're about to get kicked off my show.
Oh, my show! there you go, viewers. There you see.
Yep, Wow. So basically, we just need to sit back.
The
and
passive
hear
aggressiveness that we have to deal with is now.
Yes.
Welcome to New America.
Interesting.
Loving it.
Uh-huh.
Land of the free.
I mean, I don't know, what would you not like,
One
because
object
it could
in the
do-
world you don't want haunted.
but for what, I guess I don't want my underwear to be haunted. I don't understand.
Mine is.
Maybe you do.
No, I don't.
It could be interesting.
I am past that point in my life. I'm
just
good.
saying, it could be fun. You never know. Don't knock it till you try it.
The Entity 2, the underwear.
I sprinkled holy water on it. It's still doing it.
Oh, I never should have said that.
You
I just
brought it up.
never should have said that.
I mean,
I'm getting pads blessed by the Pope now.
Do you see what happens when Darren's not here?
Please, for the love of God, throw a question at us. It's all going horribly
Oh
wrong.
my God.
Oh, God.
Oh, Michelle
butt
from Paranormal State said butt plug. I would have to agree with that one.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Well,
Well, I don't even. No,
You have
I
to-
don't agree with that because I would never want to use a butt plug. Actually,
Sarah's been plugging all night.
OMG.
Plug the Granger house. What did you think I meant?
I don't know.
Why is your beer coming out your nose?
I don't know.
That's not the correct way of drinking beverages.
Oh my God. We've lost all sense of control in here.
There's a tear.
For the love of God, please. Throw a question.
Well, I appreciate the 4 people who have joined us tonight. And I understand why people don't, because we're not usually live. And so, the people who listen to us probably listen to it. Had listened to podcasts. I listen to them in my car when I'm driving places. So I get it. But thank you for joining us. If you guys would have questions, that'd be awesome, because these two get off on tangents. Lord knows where we're going to end up.
No.
We haven't been plugging all night.
No.
These two end up on tangents.
No. There's no we.
There's no we.
No.
Okay.
There's no spoon.
Where do you want to investigate this year?
Oof.
I would love to get back into Edinburgh at some point if they didn't book it like fucking 3 years in a row.
You know what, though? I've been thinking about your comment about the day thing, and I think that we need to go do a day investigation. But I agree with you. We need to talk to Cindy about either we get the same amount of time that an overnight would, or we need a discounted price.
Yep.
I'm not saying we need a discount because it's during the day, because I agree with you. I think that we should be able to pick up the same amount of stuff during the day. But if we aren't going to get the same amount, Steve, they are always like this. This is not just tonight. I edit our other episodes.
You guys miss out on most of the fun shit that happens.
I think
not even a 5-second delay, is it?
No.
Good Christ. So I hope that we can do a daytime out there this summer.
I want to do. Well, here's the thing. When I
Hashtag.
I try. I mean, when we're thinking, and we've got to get together and plan this year's, as far as Phantom Science, I'd like to get more than one. So if we say, okay, Edinburgh.
I do need to do an outtake episode, Shay. You are correct. Nico, I'll get to your question in a minute. Keep going.
I want to do 2 or 3 of that place, because just one, for me, doesn't do it as far as a data point.
Yeah.
So, if we do Edinburgh during the day, love to, but when we plan it, say, okay, we want this date.
Well, maybe we need to ask her how long and I know that.
Book 3, and then say, what's the price for 3 during the day?
Yeah.
And down that way.
Yeah, can we get some kind
So, Nico asked what we would do different. The primary thing I think you have to do different, with the exception of the basement, because it's still pretty dark down there, is you can't depend on things that have a light sensor on them.
Well, you can, because it's negative light.
Well,
so if you get a shadow run over it.
But, because we've started using things like the metal shavings, and, we're kind of going back to basics a little bit. I don't know that there's a lot we'll have to do different. Now, obviously, we'll have different things to contend with. I don't know that road's any busier because it's out in the middle of nowhere. There's fields out there, though, so depending on the time of year, you may hear tractors or combines or whatever.
I mean, you hear cows mooing all night sometimes, which is kind of creepy, because sometimes they just sneeze and you wonder what the hell.
Oh my God. The first time we went to Farrar.
The horse.
Yeah. We stepped outside the building, and it felt probably creepier outside than it did inside. Like, I have no doubt that there was something outside with us, because you could just sense it. But then we started walking away from the front door to see what we could feel, unaware that there were horses over there. And then one moved, and we all shit our pants.
Literally.
It was
not figuratively.
awful.
Literally. Yep.
It was awful. I wish we had that on a recording somewhere to share with people.
Oh, yeah.
Say,
I had to go wipe.
If we did an outtake show,
Oh, Jesus.
I think I'd be banished. So,
Probably.
yeah.
Are you kidding, Kim?
What?
Kim says we tried getting into Edenbrook. She says she wasn't taking bookings till October.
Yep.
So we contacted her on the 6th in the morning, October 1st, and that was booked. Shut the F
I'm
up.
telling you. But the problem with Edinburgh is when they bring out their calendar, it's already full. So I want to know, and I think I got a good idea, but I want to know who's got all the inside bookings going, you know?
Well, and you know, this is the problem when places get on TV. Now, it's easy for me to say that because we were there before it was on TV. And this place probably is worthy of being on TV. I would say if you haven't been to Edinburgh, go. It's
if you can get in.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite places. But my butt hurts. I'm sorry from sitting the way I was sitting. Oh my God, shut up.
You didn't say it, I was going to.
I'm sure. So
You should have kept that one yourself.
I know.
I was just explaining why I was shifting my weight. But
a little more to the left.
Are we done? Anywho.
Her plug is haunted.
Wow, are you spending the night here tonight? Yeah, so we're going with Steve on May 15th. I'm just kidding, Steve. We won't take up for your event. But Steve will have the Southern Gypsies, and he's got an event. I'll plug Steve's event. Steve, I'm sorry. I think I might. He's got an event set up on Facebook. Steve, you can put in the comments how they can get a hold of you to be part of that. Nico wants to know what was our most memorable moment and where. I'm going to say, mine is a split between the Queen Mary and the screams we heard coming from the dressing area that night. I mean, like, it was a woman being murdered. That's all I can tell you. And it was the longest and most repetitive disembodied voice I've ever heard in my life, to the point that I think if anybody else would have told me the same experience, I would have for sure thought they were either lying or had heard something else.
But if somebody would have told us the next day that somebody got murdered on the Queen Mary, we would have believed that too.
Yeah. So I would say between that and the shadow play. Yeah, he does. The shadow play at, oh my God. Sorry, Cedar Rapids is like burning down or something right now.
Yes.
No, they've been saving up all the call-outs when you're not there.
I know, that's why I'm distracted, because I'm like, oh my God, there's my coworkers. What the hell's that place called? Oh, Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center, Minnesota. We had shadows, and this is another thing, like, if anybody else would tell me this experience, I would be like, sure, that happened to you. But we sat in a semicircle, and these shadows physically ran up to us, were inches from our face, and then shot back. It was the most bizarre and crazy thing I've ever seen in my life, and it took every ounce of strength I had not to scream and run out of that room.
Yep. I mean, and I can't even come up with any two different ones, because we were in the same place.
Fortunately or unfortunately, Adam and I investigate everything. I know, but you don't have any different answers. That's what I'm saying. We investigate everything together.
It's unfortunate. I have to drag him around.
Well, and now all of John's investigations usually include one of us. So,
sorry.
Nico, I agree. And actually, I reached out to them, and I should reach out again, and asked if we could investigate. If we came and stayed, if we could investigate the basement. And she told me that. Let's see. This was probably in between September and November, I called and asked, and she told me that they had too many private events going, that she would not allow us to investigate. So I'll have to check back, and if we're able to get there, I'll let you all know when we're going. If you can find a public event that's going on at the Palmer House Hotel, I mean, within reason, but
get lost to go down in the basement.
Right.
Oh, I'm looking for the bathroom. I'm sorry.
But we had experiences throughout the whole building, so. The basement is definitely the most haunted, but there was stuff going on everywhere. But, John, go ahead. You answer now.
What was the question? I forgot now.
Oh, my God. See, this is what happens because I, start to go up. When was your most memorable moment and where?
I'm not sure I should talk about that publicly. Oh, you mean haunted?
OMG.
So they have to do with the red light district.
In Amsterdam.
I gotta say.
We did talk about liquid Tic Tacs that grow earlier, so.
Yes. You're my experimental youth. I wasn't gay, but my lover was. Anyway. The thing is, alright, the one that got me ghost hunting, I think, when we were in Edinburgh, I was there, honestly, I never bought into this stuff. And I think, I've told this story before, but I'll keep going. I was there just to watch people wind themselves up, because I was like, it's all in your heads. And then me and another buddy were on the stairs at Edinburgh, and we heard kids' voices pretty clear. Mm-hmm. And then it ended in this kids giggling, like, hee. I was like, I looked at him because I thought I was hallucinating. He was looking at me with a white face. He's like, I was like, yep. And then we evacuated the premises for 10 minutes for a good think about it. So that was one. And then the other one was with Nico, where the ghost feeder went off like crazy at the bottom. And once again, that's Edinburgh, so... But those, that's the most overt stuff.
Well, tell the rest of that story, not just because it went off.
Well, the ghost feeder was going off like crazy. Instead of beeping, it was going, and then, Nico, being Nico, can you stop, please? He always says please at the end of it.
He is very polite.
Well, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it stopped. Yeah. I would have said, hey, quit wasting my batteries.
No, you would have said... There must be a battery problem. Why is this thing going off?
I think I pinched the cord.
Yeah, my yeah. So those are the two. And they were both at Edinburgh, which is why I love going there because, I'm Eric in our group. He wants to punch in the face and everything. I'm fine investigating normally, but every now and then when I get that, because I'm so skeptic of a lot of things. When I get that in-your-face overt thing, it gives me that extra boost to keep going.
Although I will say, that night before the ghost feeder was going off, Eric was sitting in a room down the hall from me. We were facing one another.
Oh, that was
and
hilarious.
We were listening to movement. And I said, Eric, I'm pretty sure that's coming from the room you're sitting in.
It's behind me, isn't
He
it?
got out of that room so fast.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's behind me, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, and of course, we can't see anything, so we're like...
But then if you watch our video from Squirrel Cage, he was in there by himself, and I've never heard, well, I shouldn't say never, I have only a few times heard footsteps that loud.
Yeah, they walk right past the camera.
Yeah.
You can hear them. And he heard them, and he stood up, he's like, anybody there? No?
Okay.
And then lay back down again.
Went back to watching his movie.
No, I think he was watching a baseball game.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
But
then because I was the first one in, and he says, were you guys down here earlier? Because I heard footsteps. I'm like, no. So
Yeah.
we said, okay, mark on the camera, 5 minutes before this point. And sure enough, they were there, and they walked right past.
Yeah.
And the other thing about those footsteps were, you could hear they were hard-soled shoes.
Yes.
And nobody was wearing hard-soled
No.
shoes. We were all wearing sneakers.
Yep.
So, and that's, that's on YouTube. I can't remember if I've got it under WTF.
It was under WTF unless you've moved it.
Yeah. Well, it's under both if I've moved it either way. So that's a fun one. And Eric got the Nonchalance Award for that. I put that in the video.
I wish we would have recorded him dancing with the spirit in the Edinburgh basement, though. That was pretty funny.
I do got that somewhere.
Oh my god, it was so funny. Talk about a white kid that can't dance.
Can't dance.
Shay says she always says please and thank you to spirits. I try to, especially, I guess, what's funny about that, though, is I go someplace like, well, and I shouldn't say that. Maybe I am, because we were at Missouri State, and we're in one of, if you've never been there, the jailhouse is ginormous.
Yep.
And nothing was really happening. And so, I'm just kind of trying to stir some stuff up, and then Adam let me know that I'm being way too polite.
Mm-hmm. You're in a prison.
So, it depends on, but, at the Granger house, I always do try to say please and thank you.
Well,
but then I turned it to, are you going to let a girl tell you what to do? And, of
Yeah. Actually, I think you said you're going to let a 5'2" girl tell you.
It's true. It's true.
And I laughed. Because
we had fun at...
They have female prison officers, though.
Yes. But they're not nice either.
Oh, well, okay.
Adam has worked in a prison as well. We're covering all of Adam's past employment.
This is the Adam episode.
Yeah,
Finally, Adam
let's talk about all the crap Adam's
Do
done.
we have a haunted auto shop or something?
Adam gets to shine.
That's right.
Yay! Ding ding.
Well, his bald head's doing it right now because the light's right on it. I got to change one of the lights the way it's pointed. You're going to fall out. I'm going to wrap my eyes.
Next time I'm over here, I'm buffing my head before I get here.
What's this?
Nico says at the Granger, I'm always like, I know you don't have chips, but please partake. And Kim says she's always saying sorry to Dora at the Granger house too. It's like you just can't go to the Granger house and not be polite. And obviously...
So basically Kim's saying she cusses a lot at the Granger house.
Kimberly. No, well, and here's an interesting story for those of you who haven't been to the Granger house or are unfamiliar. So Kim's group is REP Paranormal, and they were out at the Carriage House, which the Granger has the museum house itself, which is a Victorian house museum, and then we also still have the original Carriage House with some carriages in it.
And a sleigh.
But there does tend to be different characters, I guess, in both places. I mean, anybody who's been there, I think, will agree with me. There's two different experiences you get in the locations. And REP was out in the Carriage House, and over their ghost box, which they were using, I'm sure, in SB7, SB11, something like that, they're getting PUSSY, they're getting bitches.
Sure won't say that.
I hate that word. But they were...
like cats?
Stop. They were getting all kinds of profanity.
Listen.
I
did see it. You didn't like cartoons as a kid,
I did. But I will always spell it. But Kim will tell you, they got that word over, and you're not going to just get that word over a radio station. And they got a lot of profanity. John's group has also been out there, John and Nico.
We got one pretty clear telling us to wake up. I think it was Alfred. Wake up, Alfred.
Yeah.
And that was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
And then you guys got talking about whiskey, drinking whiskey out there. I mean, and that's not stuff you'll hear in the house. Ever.
No.
No.
We do get, and this was, which kind of disappointed me, because we get a lot of references to food in the dining room between certain times in the evening, and we did a predictive experiment. I said, okay, if we could predict it, it's definitely going on. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we did the predictive one, it didn't freaking happen. I was like, come on. Good plan.
Do you have a theory why that was?
I do, but I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Not gonna say it out loud.
All right.
That's fair. I know it.
I'm thinking it really hard. So all you psychics out there, you know what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's funny. So do you guys think that random talk is ghosts or what?
Nico, you type way too hard. You type like in the middle of the sentence. You don't need to.
That's true, actually.
And then the all what at the end wasn't needed. Come on.
He types like he talks. It's fine.
What a waste of keyboard.
I don't know, but I guess my theory is probably yes at this point. I don't think all of it is. I think some of it is misidentified. But I do think that hearing PUSSY over a radio is not a living person or a radio station. So what does that leave? Somebody on a walkie-talkie?
Yeah, it could be.
No.
Walkie-talkie, sexy talk.
Because that happens a lot.
Well, here's the thing. It does, though.
Hashtag.
Here's the thing.
Hashtag again.
Wow, he used up 2.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Hey, life's short. Every time me and Adam have sexy talk in the middle of the night, he tells you that it's someone calling about an investigation. As you said earlier, it's not.
Oh my!
You jumped to that conclusion, though, didn't you?
Wrong. So wrong.
So, hearing that on the radio, maybe sex is all CB radio. I don't know. Don't jump to conclusions.
I swear to God, if you ever call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have a problem.
No, because our range time is 2:30.
OMG.
Oh, wow. Hey, is that a real sword on the wall?
Last time I was late, I had to wear the gimp mask.
Quit talking about John's sword. Oh my God.
I was going to stab him with it. That's what I was going to do.
We know what you were really talking
There's a
about.
sword fight that had to go down.
Okay.
Don't cross the stream.
We have gotten so far off base that it is probably time to wrap this up. So, Miss Shay, if you want to start doing your thing.
We know you do, Steve. Actually, you text me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, the real question on that is, are they people you know?
Oh my God. So anyway, if you want to get a hold of John, you can find him now at phantomscience.net. And that'll give you links to the Facebook and the YouTube.
And the podcast.
And, yeah.
And the book.
Yeah.
Buy the book.
Do buy the book.
You haven't bought the book. Buy the book.
And I'll tell you where you can find it. So, getting a hold of all three of us, you can do that on...
Goodwill is where you can find it right there.
Oh, shut up. You can go to our Facebook page, and it is pinned to the top, actually. I do recommend it. It's a great book, and I've been recommending it to a lot of people to read lately, so definitely do. You can find us, though, on Facebook and Twitter, and we just started Instagram, and I don't really know how to use it, so just be patient. The boys are looking at me like, we have Instagram now? What?
Yeah.
No, I don't. It's the word we. I'm like, oh, God. I have no control over this.
You can find us under Seeking the Paranormal on all three of those platforms. And, of course, you can listen to us wherever you find your podcasts.
You know, just to add on as an addendum.
Please do.
If next week we have a new sponsor, and it's a butt plug manufacturer.
Oh, my God.
You know,
Shay, turn this off right now.
I say let's reach out to someone and see what happens. Have him listen.
Shay, make it
I am
stop.
dropping the mic.
Come on,
There it is.
I got the mic job on that one. Come on.
Oh, my God. We're done.
All right.
Thank you for listening, you guys. Thank you for being part of this. Maybe we'll do a live episode again. Who knows? We may be kicked off of
The world.
Spreaker.
They're just like, yeah, you guys are done. This is ridiculous.
Brought to you by Latex Happy Meal.
Oh, my God. Okay, we really are done. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Shay.